Hello everyone, I Dr. Ruchi Agarwal welcome you to the web-based programming class. I'm going to discuss about HTML forms. So let's see what is HTML form, why we use HTML form. So HTML forms are used to collect user input. It is an area that can contain form elements. So for taking input from the user, we design HTML forms. There are many form elements. So what is a form element? Form elements are the elements that allow user to enter information in the following fields like text fields, text area field, drop down menus, radio button, check boxes, submit button, and so on. So let's discuss about input element. The input element is the most important form element. It has many variations depending on the type attributes. So what is type? Like if suppose you have put input type is equal to text. So it will show you one text box. It defines normal text input where user can enter any text. Likewise, if we have mentioned input type is equal to radio, so it will define the radio button input. The radio button is used for selecting any one choice out of many choices. Like if we have to select gender. So gender you can select either male or female. So you will give two choice and user have to select any one choice. Likewise, we can have a submit button also. We have to mention input type is equal to submit. So this button will be used for submitting the form data. Let's see about text input. If we have to have one text box and user have to enter some data in the text box, we have to write input type is equal to text. It will define a one line input field for the text input. Let's see one small example. Form, we have to write the form starting tag and the ending tag, and in between whatever content of the form it will be there in the starting and the ending tag. So we have written first name, then input type is equal to text, name is equal to first name. So here we need one text box. That text box will appear. We are naming that text box also. Here we have mentioned first name as the name of this text box. Likewise, we want to take the last name also. So for that, we have taken one more text box by the name last name. So this is how we can have text boxes in a form. If we want to have radio buttons, so we have to mention input type is equal to radio, name is equal to gender, value is equal to male. So here we have one radio button by the name of gender. You want another radio button to be there, so we have to take the same name. Name is gender for this female also. Input type is equal to radio, name gender, value is different, value is female. So we can select any one option out of male or female. So just see that the name of this particular set of radio button will be same. So user can select any one option. If suppose you want to select, you want to have another set of radio buttons, like suppose age. You want age to be less than 20 or between 20 to 30 or greater than 30. You want to give three choices to the user and user can select any one. So for that you need another set of radio buttons where you will give three options. So for those three options you again have to take the same name. Value will be different but the name should be same. So in that case user can select any one option. Coming to checkboxes, user can select multiple options like here bike. We have taken two options, bike and car. So user can select both of them also at a time. But here again you have to use the names should be same. Like here we have used name is equal to vehicle. Input type is equal to checkbox, name is equal to vehicle, value bike. So one checkbox will appear. Again, we are using this car checkbox for the car. Input type is equal to checkbox, name vehicle, value car. So user can select both the options or any one. It's up to the user. So the major difference between radio button and checkboxes are that you can select any one option in the radio buttons, and in checkboxes you can select multiple options at a time. Coming to submit button. So we can have one button, submit, if we want to send our data to the server page. So we have to, whatever data user have entered, if you want to submit that data, so for that we need one button. So for this, we have to type input type is equal to submit. So it will define a button for submitting a form to a form handler. The form handler is typically a server page with a script for processing input data. So if we click on the submit button, the form data will be sent to the page. In the action attribute, you have to mention the particular file name. So here we have mentioned action page.php. There is one attribute, form action attribute. So when the user click on the submit button, the content of the form is sent to the server. Forms action attribute define the name of the file to send the content of the form. Here we will see the method attribute. Method attribute have two values, get and post. So the input form method attribute defines the HTTP method for sending form data to the action URL. So we have two values, get and post. Let's see the difference also between get and post. Get method appends the form data to the URL in name value pairs. So it is not advisable to use this method for passing sensitive information like password, etc., as it will be visible in the browser's address bar. There is a limit to how much data you can place in a URL. Varies between browsers. Get method is used for sending small amount of data, while post method sends the form data as an HTTP post transaction. The post method is more robust and secure than get, and post does not have size limitation. So generally, we prefer post method, but get is the by default. If you will not mention anything, so it will be using get method. Let's see one example. If we have one form where we have taken one input type is equal to text, where we have taken username as the one label, and we have taken one text box by the name user. You are asking user to send to enter some name, and then you have taken submit button. So when you click on the submit button, whatever data you will enter, it will go to HTML form submit.asp, and the method is get. So whatever value you will be entering, it will be displayed in the address bar of the browser. To submit input form data correctly, each input field must have a name attribute. So every field should have a name. Otherwise, your data will not be sent. Let's see one example. Form action. You have to mention any file name where you want your data to be sent. So we have taken first name. We have one text box. If we have mentioned value is equal to Mickey, so whenever you run your file, Mickey name will appear in the text box. Then last name, here also you have mentioned the value mouse, so by default this value will be displayed in your text box. You have taken one submit button, value is submit, so one button will also appear. If you click the submit, the form data will be sent to a page called actionpage.php. Here just notice this first text box. You have not given any name to this Mickey, where the value is Mickey, but you have not mentioned any name here. So the first name will not be submitted because the input element does not have the name attribute. only last name will be submitted, but first name will not be submitted. So that's why it is mandatory to mention the name of all the fields. Likewise, we can have select element where we can give multiple options to the user. Drop down option will appear. So we have the syntax is select whatever name you want to give. Suppose I want a few car names to be there. So names is equal to car option value, whatever value you want to give, whatever option is there, starting and ending tag, you will mention that, like suppose Volvo, and whatever option you want to give, 4 5 option, whatever option, user can select any one option, and then you close this select element. So like you can give this drop down list by the help of select element. Likewise, we can have text area element also. If you want multiple entries to be there, because in text box you can enter single row entry. If you want multiple rows to be there, so in that case you can use text area. So text area name, whatever name you want to give. If you want to specify rows and column also, how many rows and columns should be there, and whatever content you want to give, you can mention that also, and then you close this. HTML input attributes. So we have these attributes: value, read only, disabled, size, max length. Value option we have seen in the previous slide also. Let's have a look again. The value attribute, input attribute specifies an initial value for an input field. So here we have used this first name, input type is equal to text, name is equal to first name, value John. So by default, you are giving the initial value John. So whenever you run this, in the first text box whose name is first name, this John value will be displayed. You can change that value also, but initial value is set. While in the other text box whose name is last name, you have not mentioned any value, so the blank text box will appear. There is one more attribute, read only. So you just have to mention read only. Input type is equal to text, name is equal to first name, value John, read only. If you have mentioned read only, so user cannot change it. You can only read this value. You can disable also. You can disable any particular field. Here you are disabling this text box whose name is first name. So this will be disabled. You have mentioned disabled. You can mention the size also. Like here we have mentioned the size to be 40. So here after this value, you are mentioning size is equal to 40. So you can enter only 40 characters. You can specify the maximum length as well. Here we have used like input type is equal to text, name, first name, max length 10. So here user cannot enter more than 10 characters in this particular text box. Thank you, class.